Hello and welcome back to OT the podcast. Spooky edition this week, Andy. We're here to talk about watches, time, hauntings, and something else. My name's Felix Schultz.
And I'm Andy Green. How you going, Felix?
Going off script, and you know, again, a constant reminder as to why I shouldn't go off script. Hey, you know what I've been watching religiously the last few days, Andy? Just getting into it.
I do, but tell me anyway.
It's a show starring Sarah Snook.
Oh, that's timely. What a coincidence.
Why is that a coincidence, Andy?
Well, I believe that today's guest is family with Sarah Snook.
Yeah. Who are we talking about,
Cousin.
Andy?
I think it was a cousin. It
Cousin, I believe so.
was a cousin. Succession. What do you think?
Let's get into that, but I think we should introduce the guest first. We've got Jonathan Notley, who you will probably know as MC Bliss from Bliss and SO.
Aussie Hip Hop royalty.
Yeah, legit.
Been around for like 20 years now. Pretty legit. I think you'd be hard pressed, especially if you're in Australia, not to know who Bliss and SO are. They've had some big hits, and they've basically created. I think they're credited with creating the Aussie hip hop kind of
them
genre.
and the Hilltop Hoods, skip hop, making it happen. And they've got a new album out, which we chat about.
Yes.
But I'm happy to chat to you about Succession if you want. The top line is
tell me about Succession.
I hate them all.
I was waiting for that moment. Yeah. None of them have any redeeming qualities.
Yeah, I'm talking to a few of them. Like, so I'm series one. Never watched it before. Wasn't really. I sort of thought it was a lot more soapy, like Billions. So I'm pleasantly surprised there. But yeah, I'm enjoying hating them all, and seeing the occasional glimmer of humanity of like, oh, maybe I do like this person. Oh no, I don't. So
they're all disgusting.
That's good. Do you know what else has been going on, Andy?
What else has been happening, Felix?
Well, it's that time of the year where in Australia we have our weird relationship with Halloween.
What is a ghost's favourite dessert?
Ice cream. Was that right?
That was right. Correct. You got it.
I guess I have a small child who is learning humour, so I'm up on dad jokes.
Perfect.
Where are you at on Halloween? Do you think it's a terrible American tradition that should be stopped at all costs, or are you all for it?
I kind of like driving past and seeing. I like seeing people put effort into things. So I like Christmas lights, and I like Halloween decorations out the front of people's houses, and I like that kids enjoy getting dressed up and having a bit of fun.
Not that we're really doing that down here in Melbourne this year, but even if we can't do trick or treating, I've got a little trick or treat pop quiz that I thought I could get your input on, Andy. 3 simple questions. Your favorite Halloween movie, what you would want to wear for 2021 Halloween costume, and the spookiest watch. Go.
Okay, so I've gone TV series. What We Do in the Shadows.
Ooh, American or Kiwi?
Kiwi, obviously.
American, again, I've started watching that. Really, really good.
Is it? I didn't even realize there was.
There's like bloody 6 seasons of it or something.
Huh.
It's got I'm going to do this is a very rare podcast voice impression. It's got that guy from the IT crowd that speaks like this in it, and he's great.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a film, and then it became a TV series. It's very good. It was a film in like 2014, yeah.
I only remember the TV series with...
No, it was a spin-off. The TV series was a spin-off. And I think there's a spin-off of that, the werewolf one, whatever. I can't remember what that's called.
It's a whole franchise. It's the next
Wellington
MCU.
Paranormal or something. Yeah, it's very good. Very good content. The Kiwis are very funny people.
They are. Tiger, what a guy.
That is my film/TV recommendations. Costume? Got to be the Squid Game jumpsuit at this point.
Oh, that's good. I've not watched Squid Game because I don't think it's. I think my fragile anxiety would not handle it. from everything I understand about it, but that's a good costume. Not too hard to achieve.
Thank you.
Are you going as like the old guy or just as Andy?
No, I'll go one of the soldiers with the full jumpsuit on. So not the tracksuit, the jumpsuit, like the pink
hoodie
jumpsuit
with the face mask thing.
Yeah, masked up. No one knows who I am. We got that party. How long are we there for? Don't know.
Yeah, masks are important anyway, so you'd have to be wearing one of those.
Safety first.
Yeah. And what about a watch? What about a spectacular watch?
Konstantin Chaikin, Green Halloween.
Oh, you can't. I mean, it's the people's choice.
The Pumpkin Man. Yeah, can't go wrong with a bit of
He does one
Constantine.
every
He does a
year.
watch every year. He does. He
I mean,
does.
there was the vampire we've spoken about. That's a solid
The
choice.
clown's creepy. Grimaldi, I think the clown's name is. It's very creepy watch.
Clowns
genuinely.
are creepy.
Keep it away from me. What about you?
Yeah, so a bit different. I think my go-to. I really like Halloween movies any time of the year. I think it's one of my favorite seasonal subgenres. And recently, I've actually been watching a few. I've relived the glory that is Hocus Pocus with
iconic.
Is it Bette Midler?
Yeah, maybe.
Bette Midler and the sisters. That's great. Or the slightly more grown-up version of that, Practical Magic with Sandra Bullock. And
of
Nicole
course.
Kidman. That's
of course.
genuine. Something about Halloween movies in the 90s. There was just so many of them, and they were all great.
And it holds up. Like you're rewatching it, and it holds up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of nostalgia there, but I mean, the special effects have changed a little bit. Oh, you know what? Another really great ones are anything with Jack Black in it is. He did like the R.L. Stine ones, and he's just like so campy and like he's a perfect vibe for Halloween. Actually, Jack Black would be a great costume, but I've gone with something topical for my costume, Andy. I've gone with a mummy dressed as Brendan Fraser, but not 90s Brendan Fraser. I want to be a mummy dressed as Brendan Fraser, who is currently experiencing his renaissance of coming back to fame, which I think is one of the most wholesome stories of 2021 that I'm very much here for. So maybe like he's like done the press tours in like the hat and like the suit. I think I'm doing that, but as a mummy. I don't know if it's going to work.
I'd throw a Halloween party just to see you dressed up.
That's the fun thing is it never happens because I put in low effort.
Yeah, come as myself.
And what watch? Look, two options here. The obvious one for me, Bell and Ross Skeleton. Get that little
good call.
Get the little party trick with the moving jaw. Or if I'm feeling like something vintage, something with a ghost bezel.
Ghosty.
Yeah.
Or a pumpkin patina. You could go a
little glycine
1970s sea dweller.
Yeah.
Maybe a ghost bezel, pumpkin patina.
Some sort of mossy loom, something butterscotchy.
Oh, that'd be creepy. Yeah. Butterscotch.
No. Even better than that. Speaking of mossy loom and butterscotch, just go with a Frankenwatch. It's like buy a gussied up Rolex.
Aftermarket.
Yeah, aftermarket bits and pieces. Frankenwatch. That's a perfect choice.
Give it away from Periscope.
Yeah, I mean he's a scary guy. Perfect Halloween.
Yeah.
Andy, let's get into the chat with MC Bliss. But before we do, this episode has been made possible by G-Shock. And you've been wearing around a watch. I've been wearing around a watch from the GM21 series. What is that? If you don't speak reference.
Well, if you were to look at it, you'd say that they're the metal Casios.
Nice.
So they just dropped recently. We both put our hands up and grabbed them as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about these in upcoming episodes.
Yeah, and I think if you want to find out more about them or, the sort of the watches we chat to with Jonathan Notley, head to g-shockaustralia.com.au.
Yeah, or G-Shock Oz on Instagram. They post a whole bunch of cool content there. All right, let's get MC Bliss on the line. Alrighty, joining us today is one of the founding members of the iconic Aussie Hip Hop trio, Bliss and Esso, who you might know because of their 21-year tenure, which spans 7 studio albums, a bunch of number ones, awards, and platinum records. Welcome to the show, Jonathan Notley, aka MC Bliss.
Hi, how you guys going?
Fantastic. Well, that was a mouthful. Welcome.
Yeah, pretty great. First question, do we call you Jonathan or MC Bliss?
You call me Johnny, you can call me Bliss, whatever's clever.
Nice.
I like Bliss.
Cool. All right. So I think for the first question, because we've got a big, we're obviously an Australian podcast. You're obviously an American. A lot of people listening might not be too familiar that Aussie hip hop's a thing. What makes it special?
I think, especially when we first started and growing up through the years and kind of expanding the culture here, I think the perspective and the lyrics, the subject matter, the vibe has always been pretty fresh. When Aussie hip hop first kind of found its infancy and kind of started growing, it was always, I found it just very real and not like, where maybe America was, at least the commercial stuff was, on the gangsters, hoes, bitches, guns, money, drugs, all that kind of stuff. Australian hip hop was much more kind of centered around what life was like here. And I think that was a really refreshing thing. So, I mean, I guess that would be the big point of difference. But again, like, I think, music is kind of like fashion. It evolves, and it's definitely been going through an evolution. So when we first started, the sound is so different to where it is now. And along with that has shifted, the subject matter and what a lot of the things getting discussed on the records, as well as the production, the soundscapes, everything. So it's always it's an ever evolving genre.
Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting point, talking about the evolution. Obviously, you guys have been around for just over 2 decades, and sort of accredited with really sort of kicking off the Aussie hip hop scene, and definitely responsible for where it is today. And it's been a bit of a journey. I think listening to your new album, The Sun, which has just dropped a couple of weeks ago now, it's, in my humble opinion, I'm not an expert on reviewing music, but I think it's probably your most cohesive piece of work yet. And it's probably the most polished. When I'm listening through every track, it does sort of have that international appeal. But I'm curious to hear, what's the best way to kind of work through the album? Is it sort of you just put it on shuffle? Is it a start to finish job?
You mean when you're playing it, or when?
Yeah.
Man, I mean, like, yeah, just start to finish. I mean, we've obviously curated it and put it in that order for a reason. That's the way we thought it flowed the best. Even from simple things like the opening track, like, man, the prophecy, you got to start with that. That's like the craziest intro ever. That's like definitely my favorite intro we've ever had on a record. Like, it's crazy. That. And like, I can't wait to do that one live. It's going to be so epic. But yeah, man, I mean, like, we put a lot of hard work into figuring out that track order. So I would just say, just let it play. And, not just let it play, but bring it with you in different parts of your life. Whether you're going out sort of for a walk or exercise or whatever, you go driving in your car, you're at work and you put it on your speakers while you're working, whatever, let it become a soundtrack of your life. And I love picking up on things, at different moments. That's a cool thing as well. So yeah, it's one of those things I want people just to kind of enjoy it and bring it with them on their journey.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and it's interesting that you mentioned the opening track, "The Prophecy," because I listened to that and I watched the album trailer, which is now a thing.
Yeah.
With the excellent David Field.
Yes.
For me, it really took me back to like those like 70s and 80s concept albums in a way, where they're sort of like they're telling a real big story through an album.
Yeah.
What's the story that The Sun is telling?
Look, I think overall, it's like all of our albums. There's a lot of variety in the music, so it's not just one story. It's fragments of myself and SO's life that we're stitching together. And as we get older as humans and we evolve and we grow and mature, those stories change. And this is a reflection of kind of where we're at. I think, there's definitely some of the most introspective stuff we've ever talked about on the record. There's definitely, it's a roller coaster. And I love that, because there's music for all different moods. And I think this record really gives, an opportunity for all those different moods to shine. So yeah, man, I think it's no one story. I couldn't put it down to. It's our lives kind of captured, and that's the beautiful thing about music. It's this art form that you're just plugging in your life as you go into it, and you're creating these pieces of art that will live kind of on.
Yeah, and it is. There's a lot of variety, and that's sort of what I want to talk to now is there's a lot of variety in the album, and with artists that you've collaborated with. One of the songs, "Good People," has Casey Chambers on there, which is amazing. It's quite an emotional song with obviously deep connections to Bliss and SO. But I think it's also a song that we can all kind of learn from and take away, given the ongoing lockdown situation that we were sort of talking on before we started recording. But I guess what in your own words, like, what is the key takeaway or essence of "Good People"?
Well, I mean, the song really is about, about that good kind of circle of friends you have around you that can help you through trying times. We all go through ups and downs as humans and throughout our journey through life. There's always tough times, and it can be totally different from the next person, what those tough times are. Obviously, we had some pretty crazy stuff happen to us in our career that I speak about on the first verse, which was a big moment for us. And, it was obviously sent ricochets through the industry and obviously to different people involved, but us as artists, it hit us pretty hard. And there was some people that kind of you thought that were going to be there, or at least send you a text and stuff, and that just didn't happen, and that was kind of shocking. And then I remember, it was funny, like when we recorded the song, we were working on it. Casey happened to be living next door to this house that we had rented in the Central Coast. And we go way back with Casey. And she walked in one day. She was bringing us like homemade organic cakes and stuff, like kind of taking care of us as a mother. And she heard the song, and we actually asked her to be on it. And it couldn't have been a better vibe, because we go way back with her anyway. And it was just kind of like, funny story, we actually recorded our very first demo with her brother, Nash Chambers, like in the late 90s on a cassette tape. Crazy old. So yeah, and she's always had our back and stuff. And I think she was really moved by the sentiment of the song, and blessed it with her vocals. So that's what the song is really all about. And then, obviously SO, he speaks from his point of view, what he's been through in his life. But I mean, everyone I think can relate to that circle of friends, or those people that do care and that are around you. And it's kind of a celebration of that.
Yeah, I love that. And I think one of my favorite, lines from the whole album is, I think it's good friends are like stars in the skies. You don't always see them, but they're always there, which I think is
absolutely.
Which is really kind of touching. Speaking of sort of friends, which, again, we're talking about collaboration here, there is some other, really big names. We'll get to Dizzy Rascal in a second, but one name that stood out to me is Chillin' It. He's an Aussie hip hop artist that I think, and you're more tapped into the scene, obviously, but he probably represents the best shot at sort of, our biggest potential as an international export artist, and sort of that next generation of the genre itself. How important is it including people like that on an album like this, in terms of like moving the genre forward?
I think for us, man, like, we're like, I'm a big fan of like the new scene coming up. Macca and I have different, like Macca as in SO, have different tastes musically. So finding someone that we thought would like, because we always love engaging with the youth coming up, and like we see it as much as it's cool for us musically, it's also giving them a platform to shine on. And so like we always like love just making music with different people. But it was kind of tough, like with the new school, because the new school generation of rappers here the sound is very different than us, and it's kind of a new wave. But Chillin' It, what came from a place of like lyricism and like spitting bars, and like that's where me and Macca first came from. So we had that overlap that I think really worked, and that's why we immediately thought, we're like, okay, it'd be dope to feature someone from the new generation. And like we were fans of Chill, and we were like, he'd be perfect because he kind of crosses over. And that's not to say I'm totally fans of a lot of the other dudes. It's just if that synergy would exist with the band. So for us, it was the perfect meeting of the two worlds. And I think it was a great thing for both of us. Like it exposed him to our massive fan base and vice versa. So we actually jumped up with him at a sold out show he had in Melbourne outside, which was unreal. We did the song for the first time, which was, it was super dope. So it was a great experience, man. And it was cool because the concept of the song, the OGs thing, like we've been around, since back in the day, pioneering the scene with a few other groups, and it was dope to have the new school meeting the old school and kind of bringing that together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And so you sort of talked around a little bit about how the Aussie scene has evolved since you started it, or it started whenever. Where is it at now if someone like Chillin' It is speaking more to that previous generation than the I guess the more main, what am I trying to say, what most people would think of as Aussie hip hop today?
So is the question, what would
people... Oh, well, how has it evolved since when you were starting to today?
So
we got there in the end.
So there's two sides of it. There's one is the production and sound of the music, and the other is the lyrics and the subject matter, right? Yeah. And they both changed quite considerably. So when we first started, we kind of grew up in that golden era of hip hop where it was a sample based genre. It was very organic. It was like gritty drum breaks over samples. The beautiful thing about hip hop is it's a sample based genre, so you can pick different genres and bring it in. It's like a melting pot. So there's no specific sound that is hip hop. It's like you got a drum beat and raps, you put it on some kind of music, that's rap, that's hip hop. So, but we grew up on that sample tip, it was sample based. As technology has evolved, it has allowed kids to suddenly have this amazing array of production tools at their beck and call in their bedrooms, where they can access any instrument they want and they can play a keyboard or whatever, and there's sounds available to them anywhere. So what's happened is it's evolved the sound, and it's now a much more kind of, I mean, I don't know how you describe it. It's definitely varied. You know, there's like new school trap sound, 808s. There's like the drill scene. It's definitely evolved into lots of different facets within the new school, but it's less about those kind of classic 90s feel, right? And this is the same thing. We've evolved with that as well. We're not making songs that we used to make 15 years ago, right? So that's the one side of the equation. Then the other side of the equation is the lyrics and the subject matter. Aussie Hip Hop started, you know, I was describing the whole down to earth kind of barbecue, fun loving life kind of vibe. You know, it's definitely not that anymore with the new school scene. It's much more, it's still varied again. And this, I don't want to generalize because not all artists are spitting like this, but you look at some of the bigger artists who are popping, it's like it's much more on that gangster tip, like, and it's never been like that before, where there's, you know, suddenly you got dudes speaking like from experience, whether they've been to jail or like they're doing like, you know, crazy shit in the streets, whatever. And you know, I think it's some of it's really dope, but that's how it's changed. So and again, I don't want to generalize, it's not everyone, but in terms of a lot of the bigger artists that are popping off, it's definitely swayed in that direction, and it never used to be. So yeah, those two kind of things. Yeah,
that's sort of really interesting. And talking about the influence, obviously, we mentioned Dizzy Rascal, which is just a huge international artist. You've got a track on there called On One. Dizzy he's very charming, but he kind of mentions Hublot, obviously, you know, luxury watch brand, and also how he needs a Patek, and that's always, it's sort of, you know, not.
I didn't even pick up on that. That's
really,
yeah. You're shining some knowledge on my own album. I like it.
Yeah. In his verse, he sort of says how he's got a but he needs to get that Patek. And watches come up in hip hop, you know, rap music. It's you can't have an album without it.
Yeah.
And you know, we see today the massive influence that, you know, rappers and hip hop artists have over setting these sort of trends in not just what people like in terms of like watches, but how they dress, the cars they drive. And I guess, you know, I was going to ask a more general question, but I think if we talk about this sort of, what's the new school influence? Like, what are these new generation of, you know, hip hop artists influencing now? Is it still luxury goods? Like, what are they driving that you're sort of seeing?
I mean, they're definitely flossing. They're definitely like, you know, it's cars, it's jewelry, it's watches for sure. Like you see that a lot. Again, don't want to generalize. This is just more of the popping artists, I feel. And then, man, that's cool, man. Go get it. Like I love that shit too. But yeah, it's definitely like, I mean, even Chill, he's got like a dope, I think it's like, I don't know what it is, a rollie, something.
Yeah, he's got a rollie.
Yeah, it's, you see, you know, it's nice, man. It's like, that's cool, man. And I love the facts, you know, you work your ass off in the music game, get yourself something nice. It's a representation of that. It's dope. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, it never before has watches been so prevalent in Australian hip hop. Put it that way. Definitely.
Well, maybe we can change that for you know, next year, because you've got a pretty hefty 29 stop tour that you've announced.
Yes.
How are you feeling about that? Are you a bit nervous?
Not at all. I'm excited. Yeah.
Like, but I mean, like, what does it look like? What do you have any idea what the tour is? Is it going to be like everyone's 5 meters?
Are you talking about in terms of how the shows will go down?
Yeah, the whole thing. Like, I can't imagine. It must be a whole new landscape for you guys.
Well, look, okay. So we've been through the war this year. It's been a shocker. We had a sold out tour. We sold out a tour in less than 24 hours all around the country. Wow. And then in the last minute, we had to postpone it because everything hit the fan. So we've already got a taste of how shitty that is. Yeah, I hope I can swear on this.
Sure.
And yeah, so it's definitely, you know, put a little doubt in my mind, but at the same time, like, you know, I'm kind of following what's going on. You know, our record label's pretty tapped into the government, getting advice, because our record labels does a lot of big international tours. So they're on with the bigger players in Australia, like at the government's like doorstep going, what's going on? We need to know because we're planning, blah, blah, blah. So I've got a pretty good understanding of where things are going to sit. I think, you know, our tour kicks off in the end of January. You'd hope in Byron Bay, you'd hope by then, man, we're going to be okay. Right. So like we're going to be at 80% or whatever it is, you know, by the end of the year, at least we're thinking. So, and by that point, they're saying pretty much if you're vaccinated or whatever, you can go back to concerts. Now that's a whole different story, whether they implement the vaccination thing or not. But yeah. So I mean, look, I'm pretty. You just gotta go for it, man. Like, what can you do? It's outside of your hands. I think it's gonna happen though. And it's going to be normal. It's going to be full capacity. So we're just going to rock it. I'm excited. I can't wait to get out. I haven't toured in ages.
Yeah, just off the microphone. Well, Felix and I have to be there in the mosh pit.
Absolutely.
Joining in.
Come down to the forum.
We can have our first gig together. Yeah, the forum. They're amazing. Felix, you down?
Another corner. I'm behind the pole.
Okay.
We're going to get it going. All right. So let's transition into the watch chat. I was watching Tell the World That I'm Coming, which is one of the singles on the album. Watching the film clip for that, there were two things that jumped out to me.
The watches I was rocking?
Well, the first thing was just how ripped you are, and the second was the watches that you're rocking, and how they sort of matched to the different outfits you were wearing throughout the film clip. Yep. So tell us about what's going on with the G-Shocks.
Look, I should have put this thing on my phone so I could show you my watch collection, because I've got
I got a few.
Man, I'm very strategic about how I lay it out, and I'm also massively OCD. I got everything labeled, everything. I even have like a cleaner who fucking makes sure that they put all the watches in the right places. It's all color coded. I got all my hats, all my shoes, and all my watches. The three pillars.
Oh wow, yeah.
Make sure you got it so you can put together the right outfit. But yeah, man, like I can't even remember what watches I was rocking for that. But yeah, like obviously, like we've been working with G-Shock for ages, and I've got we got a great relationship, and I love their stuff, because it's, for me, I've never been a super blingy kind of dude. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Like, maybe I might ball out, like, if I want to eventually, but I mean, I just love the different colors and the different styles. Like, for me, that's all about colors and flavor and like matching it with stuff. So that's what G-Shock's perfect for. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can't, do you remember which one? Did I rock the one with the red band?
There was a red and maybe like a blue.
Yeah.
A blue G-Shock. Yeah.
Yeah. They just hooked me up with this crazy, I should go and get it and show you guys this. I'm sure you've seen it. It's like it's the new metal one. I'm so bad with the model names. It's the metal one, but it's like got the blue, anodized blue and rainbowy kind of metal look.
That's wild.
It's so sick, man. I've never seen like a watch in that color scheme. It's really
they call it like the Blue Phoenix, maybe.
Yeah,
something like that.
You know what I'm talking about? It's got like purple in it. It's got all the different colors. Yeah, it's so dope. They sent me that the other day, and I was like,
that's cool.
This is fresh. Yeah.
So the thing that I find interesting with G-Shock is, you were talking before about how hip hop's always been about diamond Rolexes, AP, Hublot, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But all along, it's G-Shock as well, and it holds its own. Like, it's a $200 watch, it's a $300 watch, but it's still as cool.
Yeah, and who brought it back big time? I feel was Eminem.
Yes,
because he just started rocking them, and same with Kangol hats, same thing. And he just started rocking them. I'm like, here's the most successful, dopest rapper in the world. Yeah. And he's rocking G-Shocks. So fresh. You know what I mean? He can buy any watch he fucking wants, can ball out, know all these other dudes are, and he's rocking G-Shocks. And it's like, that's so dope. So like when it came around for our collab, like that was like, I just saw who they had already done it with, like Wu-Tang, like all these different artists you look up to, and it's like, man, we get to do the first fucking collab in Australia of anyone in Australia. This is like historic, and we got to do the first one. So it's like, yeah, super dope. I'm sure you guys wanted to bring that up at some point. But.
Yeah, no, tell us about it. So that was like 2013, 2014?
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember. We did a big launch it was crazy. I think we only did 1,000 units, so mad limited. And they sold out like that. We did a launch at Culture Kings. They were gone. And it's like, I'm sure you guys are aware, of course you are, that there's avid G-Shock collectors outside of fans of us. So there was people lining up to get this thing. They didn't even know who we were. They were like, they just want this cool collab. And, it was, and to be able to like actually put your creative twist on it, so cool. I was still looking at our watch. I'm like, man, it's so fresh. The black and white camo with the matte finish, with the kind of mint green teal, like light with our logo in it. So dope. So yeah, I'm down to my last like 2 of those, and I'm like not giving them to nobody, because it's like, man, everyone has hit me up, and I'm like, man, these are my last ones. There's no more after this. Yeah.
I love that, and I love the sort of that you're across the Eminem G-Shock connection. Felix actually sent me a TikTok that was Eminem 15 years ago or something.
Anderson Cooper.
Anderson Cooper interviewing him about, like, what's on your wrist? And he's like, it's a G-Shock, costs $200. And he's kind of asking, Anderson Cooper's asking him, oh, well, like, why don't you get a nicer watch? And he's like, I don't know, can I afford like a nicer watch? And for him, he didn't care. Like, it wasn't about showing off wealth or anything like that. He just liked the G-Shock, and it wasn't about showing off. And so I guess, like, what has influenced you in terms of the way that you kind of portray yourself and Bliss and Esso, and what other artists kind of have influenced you over the years, and are sort of pushing you guys forward as an artist?
Man, I like to listen to a lot. The coolest thing about Spotify is it is changed the game in terms of how you consume music and how you discover artists. And I love that. So for me, you had to be, back in the day, you had to be pretty clued into like what was happening, what releases were coming out. You need to be really active, going to CD stores, copping it, blah, blah, blah. These days, like, you follow a bunch of artists, you're finding out exactly what's happening straight away, which is great. Also, Discover Weekly, you can jump on there and it'll suggest a whole bunch of people you never heard of that the algorithm thinks you might like. A lot of shit, but eventually, you definitely find some gems. So that's cool. So man, I'm just on that. And you know what? Like, as I get older, I'm kind of like more into it than ever, because I'm kind of like I want to be great at this shit. And I'm like, for me, it's like, it's the more I consume and understand and get to know other artists and see what they're doing, it's just like sharpening your skills, you know what I mean? So, and I'm not just listening to music, I'm also watching interviews, you know what I mean? Like, if I find a dope artist, I'm like going to find every single interview I can on Google, and I'm going to watch and I'm going to try and figure out who they are as a person, and figure out, because everyone's dropping gems all the time, little bits of knowledge that you just pick up on, and you just bring that into your toolkit, and it just improves you. So that's the vibe for me, for sure. By the way, just quickly on that Eminem tip, I don't know if it was the same thing, but I heard a slight different variation of that. He was like, just had blown up off the first record, and he went, or maybe it was the second record, and he was so kind of out of tune about his own finances.
Yep.
He walked into some ridiculous watch store and he was looking at a Rollie, and he called Paul Rosenberg, his manager, and he was like, "Hey, can I afford this?" You know what I mean? And it was like, of course you can fucking afford it. Do you know what I mean? But I always thought that was really cool, because him as an artist, he's never been about that flossing thing. And whereas other artists use that as a crutch, he never has, which I always respected so much more. So really cool tie-in with the watch story there.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of like watch stuff in, like, it's clearly been a journey for him from like, Detroit to now. Like, it's fascinating. I did want to ask though, so your collab with G-Shock was a little while ago now.
Yeah.
You've grown up, G-Shock's grown up. Let's say that you were able to do one in the future.
I hope so.
What would you want to do?
Okay, fantastic question. And if you got their ears, please talk to them, because I've been at them already about this. Phil, like my man Phil, a few times, and hopefully this will happen. But look, I would love for us not to just take a pre-existing model and just customize it slightly. I would love for us actually to get a little bit more nitty gritty with it and see what can we actually really change here, because we've got so many dope ideas, and also the other thing is, last time we did it, we were given one model and we couldn't choose any other models. So since then, I've seen other collabs happen with other models, like the Culture Kings they used a different model than us, and a few other people have used different models. So I'd love to be able to pick a different model. I mean, I get, you're not going to be able to create an entire new model because that's crazy, but yeah, just figure out from the materials to the light to like the everything, you know what I mean? I want to be able to really figure out what we can change, and then just, man, I'm a creative dude, so it's like, have fun with it, splash, throw some paint at the wall and see what looks dope. You know what I mean? I would love that opportunity again. And based on the first one going so well, it'll be so dope to drop another one. Maybe we'll do the 10-year anniversary or something like that.
Yes. Come on, Phil, make it happen.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool. And I guess I'm still thinking about the Eminem thing. You've got the benefit of this maturity, right? Like, you've sort of basically started doing music as a teen, and it's been your career, it's been your life, and you're pushing 40 now. What have you learned along these like 21 years of being a professional artist and being in a scene where everyone is sort of, flexing or flossing or whatever you stunting, whatever you want to call it. Like, what have you learned that you kind of wish you knew when you started?
Oh, so much, man. It's like, it's a work in progress every day. You know what I mean? And then not just creatively as an artist, like just in life, you know what I mean? Like, man, just like taking care of your body, eating right, the right sleeping patterns. Like, what are you doing mentally up here? How are you conducting your thoughts, everything, like it's the whole journey has been this growth for me. And then creatively, like, I feel like just the hunger to always get better. And I feel like I always have. But I still feel like I've got so much further to go. And I'm excited about that. That's having that drive as well, is like, and having like never that satisfied feeling of like, yeah, I've done it, is the reason why you get better. And also you stay hungry, I think. And that's super important. I don't want to ever stay stagnant. And I think it's important to keep evolving, man. Like, I don't want to create the same shit I made 5 years ago. Like, I want to keep it moving. The cool thing about, being an artist, man, is like, we got this beautiful little vehicle that we can utilize, which is the art form, which accompanies us throughout our journey. And we can just inject moments of our life into it, and it follows us as a story, and it evolves with us. It's like some people play basketball or sport, their bodies eventually will, stop working and they have to stop. But it doesn't really apply with rap, man. Like, there ain't no age limit to this shit. You see like Jay-Z rocking out, man, people are going to be like Mick Jagger. And it's like, and I love that. I like it. Like, man, it's all about just staying relevant and just staying, keeping the dream alive, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's words to live by. Public Enemy, still one of the best concerts I've seen, and he's not a young guy. I want to end. I've got 2 questions, perhaps the most important questions we're going to ask you. I want you to recommend us and anyone listening something to listen to and something to watch.
Okay. Well, here's something to watch. Well, can I just do 2 things for something to watch?
Go nuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a TV show called Succession. Okay. It's on HBO. My cousin's in it, and she plays one of the characters. She's big time. I used to bounce on the trampoline in Adelaide when she was a little kid, teaching her Ice Cube lyrics. Crazy. And then she's just blown up. She's like doing really well, but she's incredible in it. And it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. So that's a little plug for her.
Is that Sarah Snook?
Other thing, what's that?
Is that Sarah Snook?
Yes.
She's incredible.
Fucking hell.
She plays Shiv on Succession.
Yeah.
I watch it sometimes. I go, I can't believe she's my cousin.
Slays.
She was in that sci-fi movie that was bonkers.
Yeah. Like, it's nuts. So she's doing it. The other is, I haven't watched it yet, but I really want to watch it. Because I've been like, man, I used to watch a lot of TV, and I've one of the big things in my life, I transitioned out of that because it's just fucking I get addicted. I just binge watch. Yep. So like, and I'm just injecting it into the studio now, my time, because it's, time is precious, as we know, as we get older. So, but I saw an ad for it the other day, and I was like, man, I gotta watch this. Is Wu-Tang Clan and American Saga. Which shows the freaking story of how those dudes came together, man. Mid-90s, 1993 when they put the first record out. Like, that would be, because I grew up on those dudes, man. So it's like, that would be hella dope to watch. And they're up to season 2, so that's what I'd recommend. To viewing wise, and then listening wise, man. I've been really enjoying a new artist, rapper from Kentucky named Jack Harlow. You guys probably heard his big song, What's Poppin'. I've been kind of like, getting down with a lot of his stuff recently. And he's kind of bringing a new take and a new flavor to rapping, which it's much more kind of conversational and less kind of forced. And I think it's really, really fresh. So yeah, definitely recommend him.
Love that. And of course, everyone's got to check out The Sun as well, your Bliss and Esso's 7th studio album. Bliss, thank you so much for joining Felix and I. It's been amazing to kind of chat with you and learn more about your music and your story.
Absolutely, guys. No, I appreciate it. Cheers.
Yeah, real honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Felix, that was very cool. What a talented artist. What a cool guy to speak to. The new album is really good. yeah, the Dizzy Rascal track is awesome. So yeah, thank you to G-Shock Australia for hooking that up.
Nice. And if you want to, email your praise to us or, to Bliss and Essa, we can definitely pass it on. otthepodcast@gmail.com on email, ot.podcast on Instagram. We're not on TikTok yet. Should we get on TikTok, Andy?
Probably not. We are on Discord. We'll link that up. And if you like OT, make sure you're dropping those 5-star reviews, telling your friends you're subscribed. Scream it from the rooftops. You can dress as us for Halloween if you want.
Nice.
Let us know.
Get a little spooky surprise.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.